Good Tuesday morning. This is Tuesday, June the 16th, 2020. You know who I am. Yeah, I guess you know who I am. I'm Dr. Kelsey, and welcome to Tuesday. We are just about in the dead center of 2020. This has been, uh, what can I say? This has been the year, right? This has been the year to remember, the year that I think that everyone will remember, and maybe a lot of people would just as soon not remember. Unfortunately, I have to stick by my earlier comments that I did predict this to be the year of disasters. No, I did not have any clue exactly what those disasters would be, but it has been a year of disasters. We've gone from a worldwide pandemic, which really we're still in the middle of, and a lockdown, as it's been called, sheltering at home, if you will, till they started opening things up a bit with that, and then we ended up with some curfews and whatnot due to protest against police brutality. Horrible, horrible year, just halfway into it, and it is a horrible year. Um, I had also predicted that June the 20th, which is just 4 days from now, that President Trump would have effectively lost his credibility, lost his ability to lead, if you will. And I don't think that could be much clearer than what it is. The insanity spewing forth from this man's mouth is totally, it's just unbelievable. It's just unbelievable how anybody could stand beside and support. You have to shake your head and think, is this real? Is this something? Is this genuine? Is this just being made up? Yesterday, these words came forth from this man's mouth. Actually, let's see, big return to campaign trail is set for Saturday night, which is insanity on its own, given the state of affairs as far as this pandemic and this virus is concerned. It's a total ignoring of the facts. But he stated in a tweet, and I think that it was even kind of backed up by our dear Vice President Pence, who stated that doing these tests for coronavirus is presenting numbers to the public that makes the United States look bad. That if we wanted this virus to go away, basically, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't have his exact words in my face, but if we wanted this virus to go away, we should just stop testing, and it would just not having the numbers would make the numbers, I guess, null and void. I don't know. I'm just totally blown away by this. It just makes no sense, and it just continues to get worse and worse. He's lived. This is not reality. It's not reality. So, and of course, we still have the protest, and we still have police and military guard, which is something that has really come about in my lifetime. A militarization of our police forces in what we claim is a free nation. And we still have bought into all of this. It's lies. We're just totally totally bought into these lies, because it's certainly not anything close to truth that we're dealing with on any of this stuff. I have often said, and it's been said by others than just myself, that you could do away with police. You could wipe them out, just shut down police forces, and you could do away with garbage collectors. And you would miss, boy, crooked, you would miss the garbage collectors a lot quicker than you would ever miss the police. Police do not prevent crime. Let's make this perfectly clear. Police do not prevent crime. A crime occurs, the victim of the crime calls 911, the police respond, they take a report, do an investigation, and then a lot of times they depend on the public to catch the perpetrator of this crime. Even to the top, FBI, federal marshals and whatnot, they'll put out most wanted list. And a lot of times, if you follow this, it's not by any great legwork by any police. And I'm not saying that they're never effective. I'm just saying the majority of times, the catching of the perpetrators. But the problem is it's always chasing. There's never prevention. You know, and you notice when someone runs for sheriff anymore, they're not talking about preventing crime. They're running on the catching the bad guys. So we have gone into a culture of I'd say it, I call it cop worshipers. Just really over the top. And I'm not saying not to respect authority. I'm not saying that at all, but we have gone over the top with all this. It's, you know, it's like, it's just unbelievable what we've allowed to happen in a free nation, in a nation that was founded by people that claim to have wanted to get away from this exact kind of behavior. I remember in my life when Kent State really happened. Excuse me. Being white and male, as a kid, I wasn't involved in the racial protest, race riots, and that sort of thing. But when it happened to college kids who were protesting, and they just blew them away, unarmed, just blew them away. Unbelievable. And you're sitting there thinking, something's wrong. But instead of standing up against this, instead of making a change with this, it's just kind of like we accepted it, and we went from an acceptance to an embracing this kind of behavior. I have witnessed, and I've said this many times here in this little post of Alabaster, Alabama, this Rambo, insane behavior by police. An automobile accident. I just couldn't believe. I witnessed the entire thing, and it's like, God, I want to slap this cop. But what can you do? That cop has this power he's entrusted with. You can't stand up to him. You anger this bitch, he'll tase you. You can't have even a verbal conflict with these sons of bitches. This is when this is going over the top, when you can't stand for your rights because this man has this ego thing and is power tripping. And that's what we've done. And people don't see that. And people don't see that at all. The power tripping. They got their guns, you got their tasers, you know, they got their rubber bullets, which do damage. It's not like those rubber bullets don't hurt, you know. It's just crazy. The things they do and get by with, we've empowered them to that degree. to where the average citizen, you cannot stand up. No, you're resisting me. Respect my authority. And this is over the top. I'll say it again. This is totally over the top. And we, the citizens of this nation, have just cop worshippers. Just cop worshippers. That's all I can say. And I'm not saying to disrespect them. That's not the point. I'm saying that you recognize who they are, but they need to be leveled out. And number one, they need to be leveled out. Number two, we need a lot less of them. You go through any town and they're sitting in parking lots. If something happens, you got a swarm of these cops, like 15 or 20 of these motherfuckers pounding on one place. This Rambo mentality, this SWAT team behavior that they've got. This needs to be, we're in a police state. It's not, we're going to be in a police state. We are in a police state. So, and people just don't get it. They have the power and they got the numbers to shut us down at any given moment. And you can see it over and over and over. Something happened and you've seen it. It's like, where the fuck did all these cops come from? And they just swarm and swoop in. And it's like, we don't need that. And we shouldn't want it. There's no freedom in it. We've empowered the government too much. We're into this power tripping. From our military, we bully the world, and now we're bullying our own citizens. That never turns out well. It's not a good way to raise your kids. It's not a good way to manage your staff. And it's not a good way to run a country. But that's where we are. But it shouldn't really surprise us, because the foundation this nation was built on is not a good foundation. I don't care what people say, and I've said this over and over and over ad nauseum. I know people get tired of hearing it. We're going to drill it in that our foundation sucks. The men who are called the founding fathers were slave owners. They had some very colorful things to say about the indigenous people of this land. As we went into capturing this land by brute force, by con, we shoved these people like they were animals. You ever heard the Trail of Tears? We treated these people, it was their land. How many generations of these people lived on this land I'm sitting on? And we have the audacity to dare to call them Native Americans. There was no American. They cannot be native to something that did not exist. They were native to this land, which was not America. They were indigenous to this land, which was not America. And they certainly were never Indian. I don't find anything to convince me or anybody else that these people originated in India. That was a gross misunderstanding by the original explorers that landed on this land, that saw these red-skinned people, and we made it to India. No, you didn't make it to India. So they're not Indian. And it to tell you how weak we are as a people to fall for this shit is that these ancestors of these indigenous people fall prey to these labels themselves. They call themselves Native American. They call themselves Indian. I'm a Cherokee Indian. You're not a goddamn Indian. You never were an Indian. Trace your lineage back to India. That's what I want to see. Can't do it. Now, a lot of people never like the term African American, but I hate to tell you, our dark-skinned brothers and sisters, if I dare call them brothers and sisters, We can trace their lineage back to Africa. We can trace them back to that continent. The wealth of so many of the people in this nation was built off the sweat and off the backs and off the blood of slaves. These great plantations and these great landowners throughout the South that you see. Oh, these beautiful, we love seeing those big plantations, regardless of the fact that we know what's behind those plantations. We know what's going on there. We know the roots. We know the blood. We know the blood crying out from that ground, not just the black slaves, but also the indigenous people. We know. And you expect a better outcome for this nation? You expect us to be a peaceful nation? We were never peaceful. As a nation, we were never, ever peaceful. 241 years as a nation? Come on. When were we peaceful? We've got maybe a couple of decades where we basically didn't have any conflict. We lost 1 million people, right at 1 million people, fighting amongst ourselves. The Civil War. There's groups out there now rooting for another civil war. There's people out there now demeaning, putting down people that are upset that their own government is killing them. Oh, we're supposed to peacefully deal with it. We see over and over and over the use of this lethal, deadly force by these police of people that unarmed. You got 5, 6, 10 cops. It's not just blacks, they do it to whites too. They don't give a shit. Life is totally worthless to these pigs. That's what we call them when we were kids, pigs. But we still have these people that just respect the cops, honor the cops, and claim to be Christian. The only ones that Jesus said to bless and respect were the peacemakers, but not in this country. The false claim of this Christianity, because they know peacemaker. You weak. That's the way they look at it. You're weak. If you want peace, you're weak. I'll give you peace. I got my peace right here. That's our mentality. You see it all the time. That's our mentality. I got my gun. We doing guns. Got my Second Amendment rights. Guns, 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 guns. We love that shit from top to bottom. The cops love it. Got all my shit here. Got my handcuffs. Yeah. Yep, we got all the backup here. I'm brave. You ain't brave, you're a coward. Brave don't need all that. Brave people don't need a gun because they're not scared. People that are afraid need all that. You're afraid of something. That's not bravery. That's fear. And you've been taught to live in fear. And there's nothing new. But you want to ignore a disease that's unseen. Anybody could have it. You want to ignore that shit. Most people in this nation are unscathed by crime. Really. Even though we're a very violent nation. Most murders and violence occur between people that know each other. Most of us domestic related, and by cops. Let's be fair. Cops and domestic related. The people that are attacked and killed that don't know each other are the minority. It happens. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but that's the minority. You go through and you read the stories. It's usually a disgruntled son, disgruntled husband, or somebody. How many times just in the last few months here in Alabama, some son or husband or ex or something has gone in and killed a whole family. They go in, I think there's some haven't even been solved yet. Family, 5, 6, 7 people. Bam. Not by a stranger, not from random shooting. In fact, the police was quick to say there's no danger to the public. They can securely say that because he was angry at these people and he killed them, or she, or whatever. Most of it comes from men. Not that women are not engaged in this behavior. The protest and the violence that stemmed from the protest is from a minority. And it gives a bad reputation because the media focuses on that part of what's going on. I'm not saying it shouldn't. I'm just saying that it gets skewed in the minds of the ones that are watching these things take place. So the bottom line is we need at least much smaller police forces. They need to be militarized, and they need to be trained to de-escalate a situation instead of escalating it. The Rambo mentality must go away. Strong men can act calmly. That used to be the thing. And it's not that way anymore. It is strange that the tough guys and back in the 60s and whatnot, the way the movies portrayed the heroes, they walked slow. They weren't quick to draw their gun. They were very calm. Look at the old, I'm not a John Wayne fan, but look at old John Wayne and Andy Griffith and when it's fiction, but that's pretty much the sheriff in our little town in Limestone County, Alabama back then. That's pretty much the way it was handled. They were not quick on the draw. They didn't get in your face, start yelling, put your hands up. That's what they do. They yell, they scream. It escalates things. So there you go. That's the world we've got, friends, and it's not a pretty world. And we are halfway into 2020. This is June the 16th, 2020. And we are not getting any better. A lot of people are saying, but you study history, we go in cycles, and we're dumb. We're really dumb as rocks. Honestly, we're not smart because we buy the same horse shit over and over. The difference between how our nation does it and how places like where they have a dictator do it is that we're set up in a subtle way to where we ask to be ruled over in this way. Most nations that fall prey to what we're going under are put under force. We stupidly sit there, please protect me, call cops. So we beg for this shit. That's how stupid we are. We beg to be enslaved. I used to say that our nation, as a people, we used to enslave the blacks, and now we're all enslaved. They don't care. You don't have to pick cotton anymore because they've got you enslaved all the way through, and it's called debt. And we gladly, eagerly sell our souls for a car. We sell our souls for a goddamn boat. We sell our souls for bigger, better. We sell our souls for our smartphones. We sell our souls for all this shit because we're stupid. We're dumb. Our priorities suck. And that's just the reality. We spend our entire lives doing what? Working for what? Do you realize how insane it is? These people have these fucking cars and trucks with payments. By the time they get them paid off, they're a worthless piece of shit. They just go from one debt to another to another. And we think we're smart? Average person in our country couldn't come up with $1,000 fucking. Really. The average person, the majority of people in our country could not come up with $1,000 cash tonight. That's the average person. The average working Joe out here would be hard pressed to come up with $1,000. They would have to go do something to find $1,000 if they had to have it. And $1,000 in today's terms is nothing because of debt. And if you don't go for all the gadgetry and all the entertainment, because just playing golf is an expensive thing, you got these little rugrat kids going to school, and every year it's like, I've got to have this, mom, and this, and this, and this, you know, soccer, band, baseball, football. Have you seen the price of this bullshit? Like, get into this. Well, I don't want to deny my kids anything. Well, you're a horrible parent if you don't want to deny your kids anything. You're not teaching them anything like self-discipline. You're not teaching them anything like priority. So we're going to have generations to come of fucked up people because you didn't want to deny your precious little brats anything. And that's where we are. It's stupid. It's just ignorantly stupid because there's no adults left. Because we now have a part of our population. It's not as it's gotten weaker, but a fair part of our population is supporting this idiot. When this coronavirus came out, that ship with infected people off the coast of California, and Trump is at the CDC in Atlanta doing his photo op bullshit thing because he's a twerp-minded bullshit artist, and he's standing there saying, well, I guess they're going to let them on our land. I really would rather they don't get off that boat because it's going to make us look bad. The numbers. Go back and listen to it. The numbers. Them numbers, I like where it is. I like the numbers now. When they get off that boat, they'll be on our land, and them numbers are not going to look good. Same thing you're saying now, just this week, what the motherfucker said. And you ain't got sense enough to say this guy is fucked up. Because just this week he puts out, we just need to stop testing. If we stop testing, we won't have those numbers. We won't look as bad. Are you fucking kidding me? That's the way a lot of people manage their money. I just won't check my bank account. If I don't know, it don't look as bad. Think we got any money in the bank, Ethel? Maybe, maybe not. But you know what? If we don't check the numbers, don't matter. It's just not check. That's the way this idiot wants to do this virus. Just don't check. That's it. Just don't check. Stop this testing. Him and Pence both of this bullshit. Just stop testing. Stop testing. The numbers won't be. We'll look better. We'll look better. And I guess the next thing, if he hadn't said it publicly, is thinking, on those death certificates, just put cancer, put something else. Don't put COVID-19. That'd make us look bad. So when these motherfuckers die, just put something else on the death certificate. When they get in the hospital, just don't put COVID-19. When you're filling out them forms, the diagnosis, hey docs, listen to me. We can make ourselves look a lot better if instead of diagnosing them with what it really is, just put in there the underlying, there's some other condition you could put there. So the first thing you do, ask them if they smoke. Even if you smell smoke on them, just write down cancer, lung disease. Don't put the COVID-19. Okay, just leave it, because them numbers are really making us look bad. We don't want to look bad. So let's just kind of cover that over. Stop the testing. Stop diagnosing with that. There's other things you can put on there. It comes out the same. You treat them like, I'm not saying don't treat them like you should to save their lives. Absolutely. But we got to keep the numbers down. It's about them numbers, okay? That's what your president's saying right there. That's what he said going back when this thing started back in March, after it started. It's all about the numbers. We don't want to look bad. And that's the way he runs his presidency. It's not about truth. It's not about honesty. It's all about the way. It's about the way he looks. That's why he says Trump Towers, the Trump yacht, the Trump airplane makes me look good. Why do you not want to see my taxes? You don't need to see my taxes. Might make me look bad. You know why? Because his net worth ain't zilch. His net worth ain't nothing. He's got debt out the ass. He's filed bankruptcy after bankruptcy after bankruptcy. And you think that's just fine. But if your next door neighbor files bankruptcy, you sit there saying, did you see that? Did you know he filed bankruptcy? He's got his finances all fucked up. What Trump does is like, that's just part of doing business. That's because he's smart. Is your neighbor smart? Is your neighbor smart? No, that's not what you're saying about your neighbor. Look what you're letting this motherfucker get by with. Because you're stupid. Ignorant to the bone. Just a short time ago, we got a president in the office that gets a fucking blowjob in the White House by a young intern. It becomes a national scandal. You call yourself the Family Values Party. And that's just like, he's an awful piece of shit. And then all of a sudden you wrap your arms around this horrible pedophile. Yeah, I got a personal connection to Donald Trump. I don't know how many of y'all people can say that, but I've got a personal family story about Donald Trump, Donald J. Trump, back when he was a little bit younger. Still an adult. He wasn't a kid. Second cousin. She was young. Yeah. Just like Epstein's young girls. Yeah. Connect the fucking dots, idiots. Look at this idiot walking across the street, standing in front of a church that's got its windows bashed out, to hold his Bible, a book he never fucking opens. And you buy this shit. Who's the stupid people? I call it the cult of Trump. If I behaved anywhere close to the way that man behaves, he'd run me out of town. I don't see how that man's got any supporters at all. Well, there you go, folks. Cop worshipers and debauched people worshipers. You want better? Not going to happen. Study history. Humans suck. And I had a young person ask me a year or so ago, when did humans get so bad? And my response was very simple. Have you studied any history? Humans have always sucked. This is nothing new. Even go back to the Old Testament in the Bible, which has stories told from thousands of years ago. We've always sucked. Humans have always sucked. You think we're going to get better? No. The only thing that's gotten better that fools us is we no longer depend on candlelight. We have electricity. See, our peripheral has changed. We have not changed. We still war. We still hate. We're still racist. We do all the things that we've always ever done as human beings. We've not evolved a bit on that level in recorded history. We kill out of jealousy. This is just the way it is. The only thing that's changed is our tools. Our tools, a mode of transportation, mode of communication, our caves that we live in, all that's changed. But we have not changed one bit. We still eat, we still drink, we still piss, we still shit, we still fuck, we still have babies, we still kill, we still get sick, and we still die at the average of 70 to 80 years. Thousands of years later, we still die. And it fluctuates throughout history. A plague comes along, this happens, that happens. It fluctuates. But it was written thousands of years ago in his book. It was written, the average lifespan of man is 70, 80 years, thousands of years ago. Yeah, someone might say, oh, we've improved the longevity. Well, from certain points you have, but in the big picture you haven't. We got all this medicine. We do heart. We take organs. When I was a kid, it was a Frankenstein movie. Now it's reality. We replace arms, hands. Oh, my heart's bad. Just cut him open. Somebody die. Yeah, there's gonna plant another heart in him. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but at 70, 80 years of age, average. People die every day at 50 and 40. I remember growing up in the church, we used to tout this falsehood. And it was a slick way of saying it, but we would say that the earth was designed for life. That looked good because, yeah, this planet is alive. We've got life every square inch of this planet. There's insects, there's grass, there's trees, there's humans, there's dogs, there's cats. We got abundance of life on this planet. On the surface, you look at it and think, man, this planet's just ripe with life. And we use that to back up this creationist theory that we didn't think was theory. This is reality. And then it hit me. It's like, no, this because I grew and I saw this planet was not created to sustain life. This planet reached a point to where it is great, it is good at giving birth to life. Oh, it excels. It's in a ripe situation to give birth to life. But it sucks at sustaining life because everything you know has a shelf life. Your dog dies between 10, 13 years of age. Your cat dies. Your plants die. Your trees die. Some of them have a longer shelf life than others. Humans die. Everything dies. This planet sucks at sustaining life. The minute you're conceived, you're fighting to stay alive. And then you come out of the womb, you spend your entire life fighting, working, and slaving yourself to stay alive. You got to eat. You got to take care of yourself. You got to prevent yourself from getting this, from getting that. All these invisible things. There's invisible gases you can't smell that'll kill you. Other things you can't taste that'll kill you. Over a period of time, humans have had to learn, don't eat that. Natural gas does not have an odor. We put a smell into it. And we all know what that smell is because we smell it. Oh, we got a gas leak. Be careful, don't light a match. Clear the area, open the windows, ventilate the hell out of this place, and get the fuck out and find that leak. I know this because there's a gas line right behind my property here. We struggle and struggle and struggle. Our approach to the struggles are different because we don't farm anymore for the most part. Where do we farm? We go farm at the Publix, the Kroger, the Super Walmart. That's our farms. But we still farm, we still harvest. We just do it in a different way. Because we have not changed in our makeup in thousands of years. We've not changed. We think we've changed. We think we're smart because, ooh, have you seen my latest smartphone? Look at what it will do. Wow. Wow, I can sit at my desk and I can broadcast to the world right here, me, with no staff, no camera person, no great thing going on, just a click of a couple of buttons with a itty bitty camera sitting on my desk, and you're hearing me, you're watching me from God knows where on this planet. But it doesn't make me any better than what we were thousands of years ago, because I'm going to die about the same age that everybody else fucking dies. I'm going to outlive several dogs in my life. I'm going to go through several bunches of cars in my life. Chances are I'll never even stay in the same house all my life. Things fall apart, things break. Always a struggle. Oh no, I hear a noise. Oh, the AC quit working. Oh, the microwave's going out. Oh. It's a battle. It's a battle. And our entire lives are built around this battle. And we still can't get along with our neighbors. In the biggest world religion called Christianity, if I'm this color, chances are I'll go to a church over here. If I'm a lot darker skinned, chances are I'm going to go to the church over there. Because we still have this segregation thing. Because we look different. But we're the same. Will your body accept that donated kidney? It's not a matter of whether the person is black, white, red, or yellow. It's a matter of his blood type and those kind of things. Is it a match? That's under the surface, not the superficial. But we are very superficial people. From A to Z, we're superficial. And that's why we think that we have somehow progressed as a species, because we're judging it on a superficial level. That's why we think that this planet is just built just right for life. Because we look at it at a superficial level. We don't look at it with any depth at all. That's why people argue, you've got to have the words, one nation under God, in a Pledge of Allegiance. Because people are superficial. Because any God would not be concerned about those words in a pledge to a fucking flag. Be real. But it's important to the human, because the human is superficial. And if that's what appeases their God, clearly their God's superficial as well. And we don't think about those things because we're idiots. And we've always been idiots. And now we call ourselves American idiots. Because there are those that will still fall prey to all this ignorant behavior around us. People go through their entire lives and have no clue as to what freedom is, and have no clue as to what life is. And that's sad. Because to them, they've been ingrained, been indoctrinated. And now, when I went to school, I never went to kindergarten, preschool, and all that shit. First taste I had of any such thing was first grade, 1 through 12. That was the thing. Nowadays, it's not just kindergarten. You got preschool, kindergarten. As soon as that kid gets like barely old enough to walk, they're carting them off to one of these institutions. We're institutionalized. Your religion is institutionalized. Your spirituality is institutionalized. Your education is institutionalized. You are institutionalized. That's why you worship cops. Because they rule over this institution. They enforce the dictates of the people that rule this institution that we call a government, that we call a nation. And we have an illusion of life, not a reality of life. We have an illusion of freedom and don't have a clue what freedom is. Because you were, your first breath, you were free. Immediately, the government stamped the number. Not in my day. You waited a while before you got the number, but they did give you a certificate of birth. Now, keep in mind, I never asked to be born in the United States of America, in Athens, in Alabama. Never. I didn't have a choice. Nobody says, I didn't have a pre-life. I don't care what the Mormons say. So nobody comes along and says, where would you like to be born and when? And what part of the planet would you like to come to birth on? Where would you like your existence to come to be? Didn't happen. You and I were the result of a male and a female human being fucking. The woman was conceived. You grew in her womb. And wherever she happened to be when you wanted to come out is the laws that you fell under. You were given citizenship of that spot on the planet. So if my parents had been in Mexico, I would be Mexican. If my parents had been in India, I'd been Indian. If my parents had been in North Korea, I'd been North Korean. None of us had a choice. Nobody asked me about this thing we call a constitution or the rules that we live under. Nobody said, do you agree to these things? No, simply because I was born here, I'm put under it. And you were put under it. You never had a say. But you're indoctrinated from birth as to these things. You're indoctrinated with it. June the 16th, 2020, and halfway through 2020, it makes you wonder, what's the rest of the year going to be like? The sad part is we're into an election year, and we have a politician who is more concerned about his legacy as far as numbers are concerned. He's always been concerned about numbers. He's embellished every number that could possibly be. There's nobody that's been as popular as me. At the same time, he says there's nobody been as popular as him. He's also saying there's nobody that's been persecuted as much as I have. But here we are. It's not over. That's all I can say. It's just far from being over. Wake up, think, pay attention, turn off Fox News, read your news, turn the TV off. Forget the sports, forget the reality TV shows and all the above. And for all you other people out there, take the time to really see what's going on. Drop the propaganda. You're living in an illusion. And that's sadly, very sadly, the fact. Take care.